So, like I was saying, so what we do in school is, if our products, if the graduates are complaining, if we have, like we have, this is the result we have, right? We have um we have more than 50% of people who finish school who have this feeling like, you know, that school didn't meet their need, that they wasted time going to school. Some people are saying school is a scam, because the people who actually benefited from this system, they are small compared to the rest. They are small. So if you have a large number of your finished products, you don't even blame the finished products. Like I said, if you have a factory and you have the finished products are defective, 80% of them are defective, they don't meet your quality standard, you don't blame the finished products. You go back, you check the bomb, you check the processes, the machines, the people who are running the machines, the auditors, the packaging materials, because you want to check where is the fault coming from. So if what we are doing, if the kind of people we are producing from our schools, if they are not meeting up with the demand of the present economic system, we shouldn't be calling them, we shouldn't be pointing, accusing fingers on them. We shouldn't be calling them lazy. We need to go back to the drawing board. We need to check what we are teaching. How relevant is it to the economy we have today? Right? How we are teaching this. Are they still relevant? So, like I said, so we are going to look at what is the cost of ignoring this shift, because this is a shift and it's coming. So to me, this is a clarion call, but we can ignore it. But I want to point out the cost of ignoring this shift. Number one is there is going to be a rise of purposelessness among young people. So you're going to have a lot of people who come out of university and they don't know how to live. They don't know what next, right? So you have a lot of people who are living NYSC camp. They are asking themselves what next. So they don't have this sense of vision. They don't have a sense of purpose. They don't have, this is what next. Because right in school, we are not really preparing them for life. We were not preparing them for the value-driven economy. We were preparing them for the industrial age economy, which is declining. And that is the problem. So we're going to have this rising depression. Right? We are seeing it. We see young people feeling like school is a scam. They say it because they felt like they wasted their years in school. I mean, why should we have a lot of people who are coming out of school and they are going to learn handwork? Shouldn't we design our school in such a way that when people leave, they are already on the path of what they want to do? So that even after secondary school, they can decide whether or not they need higher education, right? Whether or not they need to go to university. Secondly, we are going to have this growing disconnection between school and real life. school and real life, because school is supposed to be a reflection. It's supposed to be a microcosm of real life. But that is not the case. The case is like school is different. Is different from real life. Is where students go and we teach them things that, they don't see how they use this thing in real life. Because we don't make the connection. Because we are doing standardized education. Because we are preparing them to pass exams. We are preparing them for WAEC, for JAMB, for multiple choice questions. We are not preparing them for real life. So we fail to make this connection between what we are teaching them to what is needed in the society, to a problem that it can solve, to a contribution it can make in society and in their life. So we're going to have this disconnection between school and real life if we ignore these shifts. We're going to have talented and visionary young people who are lost to a system that never saw their brilliance. This is very important. Very important. We're going to have young people who are talented, who are gifted, but they are going to be lost to a system that did not recognize, a system that did not see their brilliance. That is why if you go to, most countries, developed countries, they are saying these things and they are making the shifts. So you go to schools, you have a lot of opportunities where children can do a lot of things. We have taekwondo, we have all kinds of clubs. We have art, we have drama. Because you need to provide an environment where a child can explore and experiment, so that they can identify their interest, their passion, where their creativity can thrive, can be developed. But if we keep doing school like we are doing today in Nigeria, where we just pack students inside one class, and we just keep, and the emphasis is on memorization, is on grade, is on the information that they can retain, then we keep preparing factory workers for an industrial, for a value-driven economy. So what is the vision? So let's talk about the vision. We've talked about the problem, right? We've talked about the human reality. We've talked about the new economy. Now let us look at the vision. Because you need to, if you have seen a problem, right, with the current education system, you also need to have a vision, right? What is the vision? What are you suggesting? What are you recommending? So what is the vision? So the vision is education that honors human aliveness. Education that honors human aliveness. It is not the kind of education that wants you, listen, to sacrifice your creativity for performance, right? Because in the industrial age, your creativity is not needed. You are not really needed to be alive, right? Your aliveness Your aliveness in a factory is not needed, is not relevant. You need to be functional. You need to be what? Productive. So the longings of your soul is not considered. So far you are producing results, so far you are functional, so far you are showing up and adding your quota. That is okay. So the vision is education that honors human aliveness. We must build schools that, number one, value passion over performance. Right? So we must build schools that value passion over performance, so that the things we measure in school changes. Right? Now, it doesn't mean that we don't, it doesn't mean that in school we don't teach students, or we don't expose students, or we don't teach them to know how to read and write. It's not that students don't learn, mathematics, biology, any of these subjects. And it doesn't mean that we don't give them some kind of test, right? But it means that how we do that and the purpose for doing that changes. So we are not just testing them. When we give students texts in school, the question is, what are we trying to measure? Most times it's compliance. Most times we are not measuring intelligence. Right? We are measuring compliance. Even at this university level, most lecturers will tell you that while answering their exam questions, write it as they have written it. Right? The definition they have given you about a particular thing, right? Give it to them that way. Don't come and stress them and go and write a definition that you lifted from textbook. Give it to them how they gave it to you. So what we measure is compliance, obedience. It's not intelligence. So in the new vision of education, right, that honors human aliveness, the emphasis is going to be on passion, right, over performance. Passion over performance. So that when children come back from school, when they close school, we are trying to check as teachers, right, as school owners, as parents, how passionate is my child? How alive are they becoming? You get? Secondly, we must build school that cultivates projects, not just paperwork. So, projects, not just paperwork. And that means that we must, lay emphasis, give more attention to project-based learning methods over paperwork. Now, it doesn't mean that they are not going to do paperwork, but the emphasis, right, is going to be more on projects, because humans learn by doing. We learn by doing. We learn how to ride bicycles, not by reading a textbook on how to ride a bicycle, but by riding bicycle. You don't learn how to ride a bicycle by first knowing how to draw a bicycle, or knowing the names of the part of the bicycle, or knowing the what is it called, or knowing, how will I put that, the different kinds of bicycles. You learn how to ride a bicycle by riding a bicycle, by trying and failing, and you try again, and after some time you now know how to ride a bicycle. So the emphasis should be on project-based learning, projects, not just paperwork. We must build schools that focus on strengths, not just standards. So strengths, not just standards, right? Focus on the strengths of the individual students, not just about standards, not just about preparing them to pass standardized examination, but on the strengths, the gifts of the individual learners. We must build schools that help learners discover who they are, what matters to them, and how they can make impact in the world. This is very important, right? So school ceases to be a place where students come and they sit and listen passively to a teacher, right? It has to also be an environment where we help them to discover who they are, what matters to them, what are the passion, what are the things that matters to them individually, and how they want to make a contribution to society. This is the kind of education that honors human aliveness, the whole human, so that you don't sacrifice your spirits, you don't sacrifice the longing of your soul for grades, for productivity. Do you get that? So let us stop asking how can we make students to fit into the system, right? So let us stop asking how do we make students fit into the system. Now that if we begin to recognize, right, that our end product, the students that are coming out of schools, that they are not fitting well with this value-driven economy, with the present economy, we don't go and say, how do we make students to fit into the system? That is the wrong question to ask. The right question to ask is, how do we adjust this system to fit the students? How do we make the system to fit individual child, individual learner? Because if education, if it doesn't, how will I put that? If it doesn't give attention to the individual learner, then we have not gotten it right. We have not. We are still if we are still doing education where you know how some teachers, some lecturers will come into a class, and I remember, let me tell this story. when I was in JS 3, so we had so we wrote these tests. If I remember vividly, that was algebra. We are learning algebra then, right? It should be either simultaneous equation, something like that. So we are giving these tests, and I think we are up to like 25 in class. 90, almost 96%, or I mean 97, failed. Like some people got 0. Some people, most people didn't score up to 5 over 15. It should be out of, yeah, 5 over 15. So most people did poorly. And our maths teacher, he came and he started flogging everybody. Like, not everybody, the people that didn't score up to 5. If you score 5 and below, you will lie down and this man will flog you. Now, you see how we do education, right? So we have few persons that passed, oh, right? So I was among the person that passed. I don't know. I was among the few persons. I don't know. I think I was the only person that passed. Every other person was flogged. So you can't just come and you gave a lecture in one topic in mathematics, and you have, like, you just have one person in your class that passed, and then every other person failed, and you are flogging them. Shouldn't you come back and ask yourself, perhaps, maybe the way I was teaching this topic was not efficient enough for the class, for the student to understand. Maybe I should find a way to teach it in a way that it will be easier for them to comprehend, in a way that will make it more interesting, right? They don't think like that. They will just come and start flogging because they think it's your fault. Is a problem with that education system. So you gave students a lecture and they did poorly, and you are blaming them. After flogging them, you now think that they will understand it, right? You think they will now understand it after flogging them. So we need to stop doing that. We have, Albert Einstein said, if you are doing something and you are getting results, and you keep doing that hoping to get a different result, that is the recipe for madness. Is a formula for madness, insanity. Because if you are doing something and you are getting the same result, but you hope to get a different result, change what you are doing, change your methodology. But we don't do that in school. We blame the outcome. We blame the students. So what is the new approach? What is the new approach? So we've talked about the vision, right? So the vision is education that honors human aliveness. So what is the new approach? The new approach that we need to adopt in school, in our education. So the new approach is a human-centered education model. So the new approach is a human-centered education. Human-centered education model. A human-centered education model. This model focuses on or emphasizes personalized learning, right? In personalized learning, we try to get students to, we try to get the areas of interest of each child. So personalized learning is opposite of mass education. Personalized learning is we try to, create curriculum, right? The things for students, each student that aligns with their area of interest, with their curiosity. Now, it doesn't mean that they don't have things they learn in general, but we try to identify each child in a class. What are their interests, right? What are they curious about? And we work with them to develop, personalized learning curriculum that help them to go that path and thrive. Secondly, project. So I've talked about, so in this model, we have personalized learning. Secondly, project-based learning. So